Hey y'all, welcome back to Adventuring with Amanda. Thank you so much for being here with me and Winston. We just got Starbucks and Winston got a puppuccino. A puppuccino is just sugar-free whipped cream from Starbucks. That's all it is. Oh, I see that evidence. Good boy. And it's a fun treat we like to get together on the road. So in this video, I'm going to be answering your questions about traveling with a dog. We have been traveling together for 9 years, so it's not something that's new to us. But throughout those 9 years, we've traveled to 34 states together in the van and on airplanes. So I'm going to share my tips with you to hopefully help you out with your journeys with your pet. So let's get started. Winston really likes to just sleep and hang out when we travel. He is the best traveler ever. So I really have the entire van open to him so he can hang out wherever he wants when we're on our road trips. This is his bed, and a lot of people have asked me how I have it level for him. And really it's just a series of blankets, a small kennel bed, and a little travel pillow that I have manipulated for his comfort. So there's really no true method to the madness. Like I said, it's just a bunch of comfort materials manipulated for him. And when he does sit in the passenger seat, which is mostly where he travels with me, I typically have a blanket down, again, for his comfort, because that's where he likes to be. I have a slew of silicone collapsible bowls that I use for Winston for his food and his water. And what I like about them is they stay on the floor or wherever without moving too much. But you can also use these sticky gel pads from Amazon, of course, link in the description, and just place one underneath the bowl and stick it wherever you want so it won't move. But I only fill up the water bowl about halfway so it doesn't splash around too much when we're driving. But I always make sure I have water on the floor for him when we're driving, and he does take advantage of it quite frequently. You can also buy no splash dog travel bowls on Amazon for a pretty inexpensive price. A few other helpful products I use for Winston are the Earth Rated dog wipes, which I talk about very frequently, but they are biodegradable and really awesome for just spot cleaning your dog, wiping down their paws, etc. Of course, I have Winston on HeartGuard. It's extremely important to protect your dog from a heartworm. Heartworm is really expensive to treat and inexpensive to prevent, so absolutely see your veterinarian to get your dog on HeartGuard. And then I use permethrin insect repellent to protect against fleas and ticks and things like that. Do not use this around cats. It is very dangerous around cats, but you can spray down your gear and clothing, blankets, things like that to keep the fleas and ticks and mosquitoes away from your pupper. Okay, my friends, so now we are going to dive right into your frequently asked questions about van life with a dog. And I actually wrote everything down from your comments because I asked for your input. But I also wanted to make note of a few different things. So when you're traveling with a pet, I mean, Winston and I, we've been doing this for a long time, 9 years. And ultimately, the key to having a great pet travel companion is really having that bond and building that trust. And I've been doing that with Winston over the last 10 and a half years via positive reinforcement training. I do not believe in fear-based training, such as shock collars, electric fences, prong collars, things like that. I think those are very aversive materials that can really cause a fear-based response in dogs. I've been working in the pet industry for 9 years. I've been in animal rescue for 15. So I consider myself an expert on dogs and trust building and confidence. Winston modeled for PetSmart for 5 years. We competed in agility for years. We've really done it all. And you guys see how well behaved he is and how trained he is. And that's because of positive reinforcement training. So treat-based training, toy-based training, and socialization with other dogs and humans is extremely valuable for building a dog's confidence, creating that bond, and really just strengthening that relationship between you and your dog. And ultimately, that's going to make travel a whole lot easier. So, if you need to use the restroom and you don't have a restroom in your van, you know, there are a lot of different places, dog-friendly places that you can go around the country, like pet stores, like Petco and PetSmart, Home Depot and Lowe's, you know, Tractor Supply. There's a lot of different pet-friendly places that you can bring your dog into the air conditioning to do shopping, use the restroom, or, you know, do other things that you need to do. So, taking your dog to places like Home Depot and Lowe's is also a really good place for training, because it doesn't smell like animals like Petco or PetSmart, and there's a lot of different like noises and people and things like that, so they're really great places to train your dog with positive reinforcement. If your dog is only used to being in your vehicle to go to the vet, I highly recommend putting them in your vehicle to go to fun places like the Starbucks drive-thru to get a puppuccino, or a Dairy Queen to get a pup cup, or a Dunkin' Donuts to get a pup cup. In-N-Out Burger has a pup patty. Positively reinforcing the vehicle with these types of trips will also help build their confidence in the car if they're not used to it. When you're traveling around the country and you're fueling up, Love's fuel station, the gas station, many Loves have dog parks, and that's a great place to stop, let your dog stretch their legs, get their energy out, and they're safe. They're fenced-in dog parks. Not all Love's travel centers have them, but a lot do, and they're often advertised like on the Love's sign on the highway, so that's another great place that you can stop. You can also use Google and Google Maps if you're, like, let's say if you're traveling and your dog really needs to get some energy out, especially if they're a big dog. You can just Google like dog parks near me or dog-friendly places near me. Google is your friend. You can use Google to look up dog-friendly restaurants, dog-friendly stores, even places like Hobby Lobby are dog-friendly. So it really just depends, and if you're not sure if somewhere is dog friendly, there's nothing wrong with picking up the phone, giving them a ring, and say, hey, do you allow dogs on your restaurant patio? Do you allow dogs in your store? There's nothing wrong with calling and asking. So, and another thing is too, it's like when you're traveling, make sure you always have water available, like I showed you earlier, for your dog, because that's really important for them. Some dogs might be safer or more comfortable traveling in a kennel in your vehicle, or in some sort of carrier, and that's fine. You need to do what's most comfortable for your dog. Winston has never had a problem in the car since he was a puppy. So, you know, he sits in the front seat, he sits in his bed, he sits on my bed. Wherever he's comfortable is where he's at. Wow, there's a crazy dust storm going on outside right now, you guys, but it's bringing in the cooler weather, so like I'm not even mad. So, okay, to jump into your questions that you left me on the community post. The first one, and probably the biggest one, is how do you keep your dog safe from other animals? Many of you probably know that Winston was attacked on April 27th of 2020. Now, he was attacked in my apartment complex. A dog, literally, a very large dog, literally jumped over a concrete wall to attack him. He was ripped in half from elbow to elbow. So you can be at risk anywhere, whether you're in the forest or at your house. Your dog is at risk for an attack, and it's really about awareness. Now, I couldn't have done anything about the attack that happened to Winston. That dog, it was a true case of negligence on the owner's part. So really, you just have to be aware of your surroundings when you're traveling and you're doing van life. If you see a dog that seems to be exhibiting aggressive behavior, just don't go near that dog. There are wild animals, coyotes, things like that. Coyotes are generally afraid of humans, One thing that I do is I don't have a jingle collar on Winston, because if you have a collar on your pet and it jingles, right? It makes like a tink 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 sound or whatever. That can alert other animals to your dog. So that's why if you see Winston wandering around, he doesn't have a collar on. It's because I don't want the jingle of the collar to attract attention to wildlife. Oftentimes we don't really camp in places where there's like wildlife where he's at risk, but especially in Quartzsite in the winter, there are coyotes. So I keep him on a leash at night. Like if we have to go out, oftentimes there are coyotes out like in the morning, and I'll have him on leash during that time. If we're in a public place where there's other dogs, like we're at a campground, he's always on his harness and a long line attached to my van. You can literally buy a long line at Walmart for like $8 to $10. It's like 25 feet long. And then your dog has, free reign to go within 20 feet of your vehicle, right? 25 feet. I also have the collapsible playpen that you guys see a lot. That's really more for Winston's like comfort, to keep bugs out. It's not really, it won't be effective if you have a dog that is an escape artist because it's just like a mesh collapsible playpen, but it gives him a sense of security and him a place to go. I also purchased a pet fence the other day from Facebook Marketplace for $25, and I'm going to set that up outside my van, like when we're in Quartzsite or more public places, to keep him secure around my van without him having to be on the long line. Because the problem with the long line is they get tangled really easily, and you're constantly having to like move them around and shift stuff and whatever. So the pet fence is a really nice secondary option. If you do find that your dog is getting attacked, which I wish I would have known this at the time when Winston was getting attacked, if they're getting attacked by another dog, the aggressor, pick up their back legs and their jaw will drop. Don't try and open their jaw or unclench their jaw. It won't work. Trust me. Just trust me on that. It won't work. Pick up their back legs, the dog will let go. So that is the most important piece of advice you can probably get from this video. So how do I shop? Especially like when it's hot or when it's really cold outside. Now I do have remote start on my van, which really helps because I can keep my van running without keys in the ignition, in which case like you couldn't move my van because there's no keys in the ignition. But oftentimes I take advantage of like grocery pickup. Even Walmart has grocery pickup. You just order your groceries online and you go to pick them up. I've also brought Winston into Walmart before. I actually had, I think I was in Utah. I had a situation where it was really hot out and they didn't have pickup at that location. I didn't really know what to do. So I was like, screw it. I'm just going to take him in and put him in a cart and do my grocery shopping. And I did. And nobody said anything and I didn't get kicked out. And if you get kicked out, oh well, then you have to leave. But Winston is so well behaved and he's so good that nobody even noticed. So there are lots of different ways to get around it. Grocery pickup is a really great way. So I never leave Winston in the vehicle if it's over 80 degrees outside without the van running. It's not safe. So you have to do what you have to do. If you have to run into, I've run into so many different gas stations with Winston in my arms and nobody's ever cared. So I'm not really sure how that would work with big dogs. I've only had little dogs, but normally I've found that most people don't really care if you bring a small dog into a store or a gas station or something like that. So how do I keep Winston from barking? He doesn't really bark. Winston's just not a barker. I don't have much advice for that because Winston just doesn't bark. He alerts me if someone gets close to the van, and he alerts me like if someone's at the house. But other than that, he doesn't really bark, and it's just part of that like confidence thing. Oftentimes, well, depending on the breed, because some breeds just bark, but a lot of dogs bark out of fear. And Winston, he's not fearful, so he doesn't really bark. How do I find dog-friendly places? Again, Google. Especially in the West, I've noticed that the West Coast is a lot more dog-friendly. And if there's a place that you're interested in going to, just give them a call and say, hey, are you pet friendly? If there's a restaurant you want to hang out at, do you allow dogs on your patio? There's nothing wrong with inquiring as to if a place is pet friendly. If it's not, find something else. How do I protect against fleas and ticks? So I do have the permethrin spray that I showed you earlier. So that's the main way I prevent fleas and ticks. I also suggest, if you're interested in a flea and tick, an actual preventative, Pet Armor is a great brand that I have used in the past. And then, of course, I have Winston on a monthly heartworm preventative, which is HeartGuard, and you'll have to see your veterinarian for that. So do I worry about him when he's like in the car without me? Well, I would never leave him in the car for like more than 10 minutes without me. Maybe 20 if it's like really, really nice outside. If it's like 70 degrees outside and I can open my windows a few inches and put my fans on, then I'm not really worried about him. But if you're in a sketchy area, you might want to think twice. So again, it depends on your surroundings, where you're at, and what you're doing. You can get cameras for inside your van. You can also get like the Waggle Pet RV, like a temperature monitor, and those types of devices really help also. So how do I clean up Winston, like if he's been digging? So I have the earth-rated pet wipes that I swear by. They are absolutely wonderful. Easy to just wipe down his paws, wipe down his fur. And I also have my portable shower. So if I need to give him a bath, I can give him a bath. There are also some like portable dog wash stations I've noticed, like at those self-cleaning car washes. Even some campgrounds have dog washing stations that are really helpful. Oftentimes you can also find like pet groomers or doggy daycares that might have a self-service dog wash for you to use for like $5 to $10. So those are options as well. And also Little America Travel Center, they allow dogs inside. And you can have that bathroom for an hour and a half for $15. So you can also put your dog like in the bath or the shower at a Little America Travel Center. Do I keep Winston loose or tied up? Well, it depends on where I'm at. Like we're camping at NASCAR coming up here soon, so I will have him in like the pet fencing, so he doesn't have to be tied up to the long line. Otherwise, I would have him on the long line with a harness. When we're at campgrounds, he's absolutely on the long line with the harness. But again, now that I have the pet fence, that is an option for me as well. So when it's hot in the summer, or whenever, and I have to leave Winston in the vehicle, again, I'll leave my van running because I have remote start, and that is very helpful for me. Grocery pickup. Just take your dog with you and see if someone kicks you out. There's nothing wrong with that. In terms of staying in the cold, it doesn't get too cold out in Arizona. I spend my winters in Arizona, so Winston stays very warm, wrapped up in his blankets. You can get like a heating pad or heating blankets for your dog. And also the hot hands that humans use for the winter time are very helpful for dogs as well. I also had another question about renewing his license tag. I do have a home base, so it's really easy for me to renew his license once a year through Maricopa County here in Arizona. Ooh. Man, this wind is getting crazy. But you can also use somebody else's address, maybe that you're traveling to, or a P.O. box, something like that, to renew their dog license, which can be done completely online. I hope that this video was helpful for you and that you learned a little something. Everybody has a different way of going about dog travel. This is just kind of what I've done over the last 10.5 years. And obviously it's worked pretty well because Winston's amazing and he's had a storied career. He's very well trained, very well behaved, and it's all about him. So for me, I prioritize his comfort. If he's not comfortable, I'm not comfortable. And it's always important to do that when you're traveling with any sort of pet. So thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.